Sri Lanka's President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says he will officially step down on Wednesday. That's according to an announcement from the Prime Minister's office. But protesters in Colombo are skeptical. They say they will carry on occupying the homes of the President and Prime Minister until the two leaders leave office. Both men have said they will step down over violent turmoil sparked by a deepening economic crisis. A new all-party government is set to take over. Negotiations are underway, but it's not clear how long the rival factions might take to reach an agreement.
Picking up rubbish in the garden of the presidential palace. Indunil Bandara had taken part in protests for more than 90 days. He was injured so severely during one of them that he's been in a wheelchair ever since.
I did this for my country. What happened to me is irrelevant. We protested for so long until we finally achieved our goal, and this makes me really happy.
On Saturday, tens of thousands of people filled the streets of Sri Lanka's capital, Colombo. They stormed government buildings and the president's palace. Bowing to public pressure, both Prime Minister Wickremesinghe and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa announced their resignations. Like many others, Indunil Bandara sees the president as the main culprit for this crisis. He owned a small fabric factory, but was forced to close its doors when orders stopped coming in. That left his family of 6 without the income they'd relied on.
At the moment, I'm still living on my savings. I also donated to the protests. But because of the accident, I still had to pay for an operation, which also cost me a lot of money.
The worries, fears and anger of the previous months are forgotten, at least for now. The presidential palace is usually sealed off and out of bounds for ordinary people. Now it's become a tourist hotspot. Thousands come here to see how Gotabaya Rajapaksa lived in luxury, in his gym or by the pool.
It's really unbelievable. We didn't think that such a condition will come to us, but it has finally come, and that's what we wanted.
We are waiting for more than 90 days for this day. So I think this is a very excited. There's all of the Sri Lankans. We are very happy and we are very proud.
But even with the President and Prime Minister gone, the country's problems remain. Sri Lanka is more than 50 million euros in debt. Many people have lost their jobs and barely have the money to feed themselves and their families.
We now expect the country to be run by capable people. We have many talented young politicians here. They must now be given a chance and give hope back to the people of Sri Lanka.
Indunil hopes that he'll be able to reopen his factory when the crisis has passed. But that's not likely to be any time soon.
For more, let's bring in senior editor for the news magazine Himal South Asian in Colombo, Marlon Ariasinghe. Thanks for being with us, Marlon. Now, Sri Lanka's economy has collapsed. The President and Prime Minister are being forced out by angry protesters. Who, if anyone, is in charge right now?
Well, thank you for having me. So right now, since there haven't been any official resignations, the President and PM are still in charge. There are reports of a lot of discussions and negotiations among the political parties that form the government as well as opposition parties. But we haven't been informed of a consensus yet. So it's still very much a developing political situation right now.
So what's next, Marlon? What are the prospects for forming a new government and re-establishing a functioning economy?
Well, constitutionally, there are very clear provisions for the president to step down. And, in fact, I'm editing an article right now on this. But in terms of the next government, local news has been reporting that there are requests for the PM, Ranil Wickremesinghe, to continue and to take over the presidency, since the IMF discussions are still ongoing. There are also reports that the opposition leader, Sajith Premadasa, has held discussions and is hoping to establish an interim government made up of 10 parties. But he still does not command the majority in the parliament. But the protesters, they have been demanding the resignation of the PM as well. So if he also resigns, we might have a situation where the Speaker of the Parliament will be taking over the presidency for a short period of time.
Tell us what life is like in Sri Lanka right now. Is there still a semblance of normalcy given the dire straits that the country is in?
Well, so yesterday I was at the main protest site, Gotabaya. This is in front of the presidential secretariat. And there are still people who are pouring into the site from all over Sri Lanka. Since, the occupied public buildings like the secretariat and the official residence have been now declared open to the public. In terms of restoring normalcy, in an economic sense, nothing much has changed. There are still power cuts, there are still fuel and medicine shortages, a looming food crisis. So we are, I guess, still very much in crisis.
Marlon, thank you very much for talking with us. That was Marlon Ariasanga, the senior editor with Himal South Asian.
Thank you, Terry.